morning.
Morning.
It's Thursday night, and you know what that means. It's 9 o'clock, and you know what that means. We are here on the couch. I don't know about you, but I am excited to be here. You excited to be here?
I'm excited.
We're excited. We're excited. We hope you're excited. We always look forward to joining you, to being with you, to sharing with you. Listen, it has been a joy to be in this time and space and place with you and your loved one. We hope and pray that you have been finding quality, value, content in what we're producing and providing. We hope and pray that it's been a blessing to you. It's been beneficial to you. We love, as we said last week, to hear from you. Let us know that this is helping you, that this is working out for you. Send us an email. Send us a direct message on Facebook. You can send us a message on Instagram, Twitter. Let us know. Just send us a DM, as the young folk like to call it, and let us know how this is working out for you. Make sure that you are connected to us on Facebook. Make sure you're connected to us on the YouTube channel. We've got to update that with a couple of episodes, but we just want to make sure that you're there. We've got a lot of exciting things coming up here in the Happy Spouse, Happy House Marriage Enrichment Seminar Group in the family. And
Okay.
so we're going to be working on some things. That was a lot to say,
That
wasn't it?
was.
But Couch Conversations, this radio show is just one aspect of what Happy Spouse, Happy House is all about. And so we want to make sure that you're connected to us because soon and very soon we're going to be dropping some new content on all of our social media platforms. And so we want to make sure that you're connected to us. So make sure you're following us on all of those social media platforms: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course the YouTube channel, where you will see all of the Couch Conversations episodes. Listen, she's Veta,
And he's Mac.
and this is
Couch
Couch Conversations.
Conversations.
We are so glad to be here with you. We are looking forward to it, and we appreciate you taking the time to hang out with us tonight. Tonight's topic, it is Thursday, and so tonight's topic, if you've seen the flyers that have been going out on social media all week, tonight's topic is the C word: compromise. We need
Compromise.
some little scary music right there. Dun, dun, dun. Compromise, prioritizing our needs. Right off the top, compromise defined as a settlement of differences by mutual concessions, an agreement reached by adjustment of conflicting or opposing claims, principles, etc.
That's a long definition.
That is a long definition,
Mm-hmm.
and yet it's so true. It's so true. When you think about it, when you process that, and you're thinking about compromise, a
Mm-hmm.
settlement of differences by mutual concessions. I give a little, you give a little,
Right.
and we come together at a common place of agreement, compromise. But I think compromise can be defined in a lot of different ways. That's one good definition, but how do you define compromise, dear love wife mine?
Um, Compromise. Uh, I was gonna say sacrifice, but not sacrifice.
Hmm.
Like you give a little, I give a little. Meet in between.
Okay.
To make each other happy. Like, so I will have to make you happy in the compromise, and you have to make me happy in the
Mm.
compromise. So it's like, I don't want to say give and take either, because both of us should be receiving something as well as giving. If you're compromising,
But if we're compromising, generally, I think compromising means that I'm not getting anything so that you can get what you want. Isn't that generally how people see the word compromise?
some people do. Yeah, maybe.
Is that how you see it? Or you
I
think,
don't see it that way. I see compromise to me just means like, if say if I want if we go out
hmm
and I want to go to let's say Kentucky Fried Chicken,
okay,
but you want pizza.
hmm
Um
there's a good one. Interesting. How we going to compromise on that one?
um Pizza Hut sells chicken, don't
Mm,
they?
chicken wings, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I can get chicken at the Pizza Hut place. We're both still eating, right?
We are.
Yes. So both of us are getting what we want. right?
That's a good one. That's a good one. That works.
Look, you got me
Okay.
thinking over here. I'm like sweating. Like, did I make sense?
No, okay. So you want chicken, I want pizza. We go to Pizza Hut. I like that.
Isn't
I
that a
like that.
compromise?
That is a
Even though I don't
compromise.
like Pizza Hut actual
Wait a
pizza,
minute. Hold
I
on.
don't. I like Papa John's. But
Ain't no,
even
ain't
though,
no.
but Papa John's
Okay.
sells chicken too.
Okay. We chasing rabbits.
I
Listen.
know, but I'm just explaining.
Mm-hmm. I know.
Like,
Okay.
even though I don't like Pizza Hut,
You just taking a
I
pot shot
still
at Pizza
can go and get chicken
Hut. Mm-hmm.
from the Pizza Hut place.
Okay, but is that really a compromise? I guess the compromise would
It
be
is because
you.
I could say no, I don't want to
Wait,
go.
hold on.
Isn't that a
That
compromise?
was a little aggressive. That was
Sorry.
a little aggressive.
Look, because first you was like, yeah, oh yeah, that makes it. Then you like, oh, wait a minute.
I had to think about that one for a second because in if you look at the definition, a settlement of differences of by mutual concession. So okay, if I want pizza, you want chicken, and we go to the pizza joint that sells both, I guess that would be a
That's the
compromise. That's a
compromise.
form of compromise. Sure. I think a lot of people when they process they process compromise as I don't get what I want so that you can get what you want. That's at least that's what I hear from a lot of people that I
Oh
talk to
yeah.
about compromise. I don't get to get what I want.
I
You
guess
get to
I'm
get what
different.
you want, and then the next time
Oh
I'll
yeah,
get what I
yeah.
want,
That
and you
is
don't
how
get.
some. Yeah,
I think a lot of people define compromise that way.
yeah.
And I think the challenge in a lot of marriages, or at least the misconception in a lot of marriages, is that men tend to compromise more than women.
Mm,
Uh-oh, she
you
didn't
would
like that
say.
one. I'm not
I
saying
don't,
it.
but I
That's
don't.
what
I'm
they say.
they who we need because I believe I'm not saying it because I'm a woman. I just believe that women compromise for men more
Oh,
in
please
the marriage.
explain. Please explain.
I can't explain right off the back,
Give me an
but
example.
I,
2 or
I have
3.
to think about. I don't like when you do that.
Just 2 or
You
3.
think a little faster than me. Like I have to actually sit down and think about it before
Okay, so
I
let's
come up
throw
with
some stuff out there.
go ahead, throw something out.
Okay.
Maybe I can
You
bring
get
something up.
married, and we can start with the wedding day. How about there? Let's start with the No, that's too soon. That's
No,
too
go
much.
ahead. Let's
Okay,
go ahead. Start with
because
the
if
wedding
we
day.
and again,
This is just us talking
this
from
is
our
just us
experience. It
talking.
might not be y'all.
Well, I wasn't gonna talk about our wedding because I didn't have nothing in our wedding I wanted except you.
You
I'm
did
just
it.
saying the only
Sorry.
thing I got from our
So
wedding
was
that
that
I
a
wanted was her.
compromise?
That was just a concession. Our wedding wasn't a compromise. Our wedding was a concession. You understand what I'm saying? I conceded to everything she wanted.
You
As long
did.
as she showed up, I was good. And she made me nervous because she was an hour late, had me standing up there looking
Okay,
crap.
okay,
Huh?
okay.
Oh,
You
sorry.
going way
Anyway,
too far.
but not our wedding, just weddings in general. Typically, the wedding day is about the bride.
Yeah.
Everybody will say that. And anybody who's ever planned a wedding, anybody who's ever attended a wedding, anybody who's ever heard about a wedding, it's
Yeah, because
all
we don't pay no
about
attention to the groom.
not a listen.
Oh, she is
Listen.
so beautiful.
Don't even care
We don't
nothing
even care
about
the
him. Don't care
groom.
nothing about. And I mean, I'm
It's too
scrolling
cute.
through social media lately. You see it on Facebook. You see it on YouTube. You see all these nuances of the wedding reception, where all of the groomsmen. I saw a clip where this one bridal party. All the groomsmen got together and reenacted a video where they
Mhm.
were all. That's the new thing now at the
Yeah.
reception. The groom and his groomsmen, they're putting on a little dance show.
Yeah.
Right, that's the new thing now. But
Mhm.
when you look at the wedding ceremony, there's really nothing in it that represents the husband.
Mhm.
It's all about the bride's dress.
Mhm.
It's all about the bridesmaids' dresses,
The cake,
the
the
flowers,
flowers.
the everything is about her. Everything about the wedding, the ceremony is about the bride. So where is the compromise for the groom?
You get what you get during
Ooh,
the
ouch. So
after
aggressive.
the wedding. That's the compromise. I want what I want, and then after you get what you want. That's the compromise right there.
Okay. So let's fast forward a little bit. Talk about it. So in the marriage, all right, we've gotten married, we've had the reception, and we're
The
on to the
honeymoon.
honeymoon, and then we come back from the honeymoon, and now I believe this is the place where the majority of marital compromise really starts to begin is in that. Where
Yeah.
are we going to live? What kind of house,
Right.
apartment,
Hmm.
townhouse, condo, single family, duplex, all of those
Is it gonna
things.
be city? Is it gonna be suburban? Is it gonna
Are
be
we closer to your job? Are
yeah,
we closer
my
to my
job?
job? The money aspect, we talked about money a couple of weeks ago. All of those are the places in marriage where compromise begins to become an issue.
Hmm.
And I think if we don't define compromise at the top of the relationship, your understanding, your spouse's understanding, and I want you to hear me clearly, it's about your understanding of the concept of compromise, not the actual definition, because we have to do what works for us.
Yes.
And that's based on our understanding, our interpretation, our perceptions. And
Right.
so, what I see as compromise, you may not
Yeah, be
see it as
different. Right.
compromise,
Because
but we're trying to
what we
achieve the
just
same
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
I understand. It makes sense
Yeah.
now.
Ideally, in a healthy marriage, neither the wife nor the husband would ever be able to look back and say, I compromised more or I compromised greater things than the other person.
Some people do that, but
Yeah, some people do. They do. They keep track. They keep a record. They keep score, if
yeah,
you will. I compromised on the last five things, and now it's my turn.
right.
But the reality is, while you're not really, it's not recommended that you keep score. Okay, I compromised the last time, so now it's your turn.
Hmm.
It's recommended that you have an approach that says, I'm taking care of you and you're taking care of me. So we're taking care of we. And as a result of that, compromise will become more of a natural, almost subconscious situation. I think back to the 80s when the Cosby Show was very popular. And there was the one particular episode where Elvin put his foot in his mouth yet again with Claire. And she was going in the kitchen and she was getting
Oh,
the
that
coffee.
scene.
Yes, the most famous speech in the history of television.
I wish I could quote this. That was the
Listen,
best
she laid him out.
scene ever.
She laid that brother down. But she said to him, and she taught him something that I believe we can all learn. She said she wasn't serving her husband, she was bringing him coffee because he had brought her
Ever,
coffee.
let me tell you something.
Wait,
That's what she did. Let me explain something.
ideally, compromise is about, as the title of tonight's episode speaks to, prioritizing our needs.
That's good. Prioritizing our
Everything,
needs.
everything is in our situation on the other side of I
Hmm.
do. After you say I do, everything becomes an our situation. And so if you need, we need.
Right.
And so as a result of that, and again, that goes back to the money thing. We're putting all our money together. And so your pocket cash or your personal money, that's your wants.
Right.
But what your needs are, that comes from the joint account. And
Hmm.
so if you have a need, then we have a need. And so we've got to prioritize our needs. The challenge is, um, and again, it's mostly men. Men are reluctant to compromise because historically, they don't seem to get what they think they want.
Hmm.
Historically, there's an expectation that the husband or the man in the relationship will compromise on a greater level
Hmm.
because the women got to carry the babies. That's what they said. You don't have to give birth and you don't have to go through all this. And I tell you what, I didn't. We have four no more, and I didn't carry not a one of them until after she spit them out. She carried them for the first 9 months. I've been carrying them jokers ever since. Um, and so, but that's not that is really, in my personal opinion, and I'll probably get some flack for this one. It's not an area that should really be utilized as a tit for tat, or because I do this and you don't do this, then that means that I'm entitled to something else. Um, the truth is, men can't carry the babies.
Right.
And so as a result of that, it's not a fair comparison for anyone to make, the husband or the wife, to that's one thing that you do that I cannot do. I'm not going to try it. Don't sign me up for no test experiments. I'm not volunteering for nobody's studies, Not like don't give me the little bag that they put on you so I can feel your. I don't need that. I respect you.
Mhm.
You handle that. You handle it well too. Praise the Lord. The reality is when you're talking about compromise, men struggle with compromising. They're reluctant to compromise because generally they don't want to give up anything that they've earned or worked for.
Mm.
And that's the challenge. Compromise, I found this quote on the internet. Compromise is not an act of weakness. It demonstrates your care for something or someone beyond yourself.
Okay.
That's what
That's a good
compromise
one. I
is.
found the quote too.
It demonstrates that you care for something or someone beyond
Beyond
yourself.
yourself.
So the reality is, if I care for you, if I care for our marriage, then I will compromise willingly
Willingly. I think that's the
because,
key word.
yeah,
Not like because it's a demand, like,
right.
oh, because I did this.
Mhm.
Now it's your turn to do that. So it should be willingly.
It needs to be willingly
Mm-hmm.
because then it's not really a compromise more so than it's a demand.
Demand, yeah.
If I'm telling you that you're not going to get your way and that you're going to do things my way, that's not a
And then
compromise.
it probably won't happen if the other person,
Or if it
if
does,
it
it
does,
builds
gonna be,
resentment.
yeah,
It will be accompanied by resentment because now you don't care about what I want, how I feel, what I think,
right.
because you're forcing me into Pizza Hut or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
You're forcing me in a scenario that I don't want to be in and I'm not willingly entering into.
Right.
And so now it becomes a situation like that.
I had a quote I also looked up. Well, that also came to me. I hope I'm saying this right. Anon. It says compromise is a sign that your relationship is more important than your ego.
Hmm.
Mm,
I like that.
I like
I
that
like that.
too.
That's a big one because we get caught up in how we feel. We
Yeah.
get caught up in our feelings, and we'll say, "Well, what about me?"
Hmm.
If it's always the other person, then again, it's no longer compromise; it becomes sacrifice.
Yes,
And
sacrifice.
when
Yep.
you sacrifice, think about the concept of sacrifice. That means something has to die.
Yeah.
And if I'm sacrificing my desires, my wants, if I'm sacrificing my needs,
That person who's sacrificing is dying.
slowly dying.
Jesus.
When you force your spouse to always do things your way,
That's
to
good.
always want to go your way, when you force your spouse either by brute force or by coercion or by any other means, when your spouse is always on board with what you
That's
want,
good. That's good.
you are slowly killing your spouse.
Mm, that's good.
Compromise is a necessary part of any, watch this, successful marriage, healthy marriage.
Not perfect,
Not perfect, but healthy.
but healthy.
It's a successful marriage when it lasts. It's a successful marriage when you want to come home. When you want to be there, your marriage is successful.
Yes.
It's like a business. When a business turns a profit, it's successful.
Yeah.
When you want to come home to your spouse, when you can't wait to see them, when you're excited about being there,
Mm-hmm.
it's a successful marriage.
Mm,
And
mm.
so compromise,
Stop killing y'all spouses now.
please stop killing your spouse. It's a necessary part of a successful marriage. And there were so many things that I came across in my research for this, but there was some interesting research that I came across that really took me back and it really set me back a little bit. As I was researching this and I came across this website, the website said, or there was an article, a blog post on this website, it said married couples should not compromise, but rather engage in deal making to achieve an environment where both parties feel satisfied.
Deal making.
That's what I said. I was like, how
No
long these people
deal.
been married? It said, why the title of the article written in 2019 by Allison A. Armstrong was Why You Shouldn't Compromise in Your Marriage and What to Do in. And I read through the article and I thought it was the craziest thing. It did make a little sense when you categorized under the guise of prioritizing our needs.
Mm,
The ultimate end game for the article was we have to come to an agreement about what's going to happen, where we're going to go, etc. The methodology to arrive at that agreement is where she lost me,
yeah.
because she doesn't want you to compromise. She wants you to basically hash it out, war it out, talk it out, get it all out on the table. And if it becomes a struggle or strain to have the conversation, struggle or strain your way through it.
Yeah, but when I think of deal, I
Mm,
think of like one person getting all of the end of, like, if you're dealing in the game and you're playing the
mhm,
game and you're making a deal and you're trying to
yep,
win, only one person wins that hand.
exactly.
So how is that helpful in a marriage if only one person
Yeah,
receives all the goods or all of what the other person is given?
yeah.
And then that way, that seems to me like the other person is the loser. And who wants to lose in the marriage? You might
Nobody
as well
should want
not.
to.
Yeah, you might as
You
well not
shouldn't
be
either.
married.
Exactly. What's the point of getting married
What's the point?
if I do want to lose the rest of my life?
Right.
That's what I'm saying. Yes, preacher.
Let's make
I
a
do
deal.
want to
That's what,
lose the
look,
rest of it.
yeah.
That's
Let's make a
crazy.
deal.
It's
I win, you
crazy.
lose.
A married couple, a husband and a wife, should be able to compromise regularly. And occasionally, one spouse should be able to say, you know what? Today's not about me. Today's about you.
Right.
On Mother's Day, on Mother's Day, your birthday, I shouldn't care about what I want, how I feel,
Right.
what I think
Right.
I need, or anything like that, because that day is about you. Your
Right.
birthday, that day is about you. Our anniversary
Yeah.
should be about us.
Yes.
What we do, we're celebrating. It challenges me when you hear the husband talking about what he's doing for the wife for their
For the
anniversary,
anniversary.
and you
Yeah.
never hear the wife talking about what she's doing for her husband. I
Why else we
hope
need to
he,
talk about that more?
yes, you do. I
We need to
mean,
talk.
that'd be good.
Well, I I feel like because we always want to surprise our husbands.
Eh,
I don't know. I may be stretching, but
eh,
I that's how I feel.
yeah,
I feel like I want to surprise you.
and I mean that's fine. That's a good thing for those who like surprises. The challenge I have is you don't hear about those conversations. You'll overhear in the grocery store. Oh, I got to figure out what I'm gonna do for my wife for our anniversary.
You're
You don't
right.
overhear
You're right. Yeah,
women talking about it. I
that
mean,
is true.
when you were
We
working in
talk
the
amongst
salon,
our girlfriends.
do you though? Because think about those days when you was working in the hair salon. How many women did you overhear talking about what they were going to do for their husband for their wedding anniversary?
Very few.
Very few.
Very
But at the
few.
barber shop, almost every week there was some brother talking about what he was doing for his wife for their anniversary.
Yeah, we gotta change that conversation, women.
It's got
We
to
gotta
be
talk about
more
our husbands
balanced.
more.
Think about him not as your oldest child. Now that one drives me crazy. Oh,
Oh, a lot of people say
my
that. My
big
oldest
kid,
child.
my biggest child, my biggest baby. That's your husband. He is not your biggest baby. He should not be your biggest burden.
Oh.
But that's a whole nother other show. Um, we talking about compromise tonight. Um, and it is a challenge when you get into that because we got way off track on that one, didn't we?
I mean, I think it was needed.
Yeah, yeah, certainly.
Only because you were saying like men talk about like the anniversary because
Hmm.
they do compromise during or the wedding, you were saying.
Yeah, when you
And then
start
we
with the
do need
wedding,
to hear,
it's all
yeah.
downhill from
I
there.
mean, there are some women out there who brag about their husbands and you hear about it, but we
Mhm.
need to hear more of those conversations.
Yeah, or at the very least, even if you're not a public person, even if you don't like to share, you should have done so much for your spouse that they have to brag to keep.
Oh yeah, that
Even if
makes
you
sense.
don't want to tell your girlfriends what you did for your husband, you should have done something for him so wonderful that
That
he
the husband
needs
is
to
bragging
brag
at the
about.
bar shop.
Right. The challenge we have is there are too many single or divorced people who are talking about how good their life is, and not enough married couples talking about how good their
That's
life
right. We
is.
gotta talk about our marriage.
We think our marriage is good because there's no problem,
Yeah.
but that in itself is a problem.
Maybe that's why single people don't want to get married. Because we talk so bad.
We
Now, I don't talk
do.
bad about my marriage, but
Listen, I
some
saw,
people do talk
yeah,
down on their marriage
absolutely.
too, or single people over here
Hmm.
that, and then if you're divorced, you talk about the marriage that you got divorced and how bad it was,
Right.
and like you never talk about the good. And yes, that is true.
I'm
We
in
did get off topic, but
a Facebook group for brothers, and a young brother in the Facebook group. Hey, I'm about to pop the question. Anybody got an advice? And when I logged on and saw the post, there were 54 comments.
Mhm.
I didn't even count them because I got to 20 and I stopped. 20 plus
Was telling him
comments
don't.
telling him don't do it.
Oh, that's discouraging.
And it's ridiculous. If you're not, no, I don't say that. The question has to be answered. Why did you get married if you had no intention or desire to make sure that you would be able to enjoy it far more than you endure it?
Right. And if you're not enjoying it, that means you have to step up.
Do something
Do
about
something
it.
about it. Yeah, both of us got married. Got quiet.
But it's the truth because it's the same way. You look in the mirror, oh, I don't like my shape. You know, the people say that, oh, I'm not in shape. Or you in shape. You just don't like the shape you in. But if you don't like it, you do something about it. I look in my closet, I have nothing to wear. What do? You go shopping. I don't like my shoes. You go shopping.
Hmm.
And so as a result of that, you do something about it when you see something else you don't like. But when it comes to our marriages, we don't want to put in the work.
That's right.
And a lot of that goes back into how much have I compromised
Hmm.
or how much have I sacrificed? How much have I died over the last 7
Yeah,
years?
that was a good comment when you said the
We've
other
got to get to the
person die.
place where now one thing here's one thing that was interesting on that website that was interesting. What the author of the website said, I'm sorry, what the author of the article said. She said, choose an area that's crucial to you. Say how you want it to be, and then work together to make it as close to that as you possibly can. Take turns. Don't meet halfway on what matters to each of you. Find out why it matters so much.
Mm.
Then keep problem solving until you come up with a creative solution.
Have we been looking at that differently? Because I know when we got married 20 years ago, it was
Mhm.
always that 50-50 thing. And now people are changing up to the 80-20 or 100%. And like, where does compromise there work if both of us are giving all?
It's the second half of the title, prioritizing.
Prioritize.
Because the reality is we compromise in the wrong area.
Mm.
If you're prioritizing, then that means that we'll do that next time or later. All right. Had a little technical difficulty there, but we should be back and back in. So hope you've been hanging up with us. Let me hear. Let me see. Had a little technical difficulty, but we should be good now.
I think we're
All
back
right.
on.
I think we're back on. Hope you hung out with us and stayed in. So hopefully we're still here. Hopefully you're still there and everything should be all right. Once we realize the problem, we just kind of pause. So we'll just jump back in where we were, which is where were we? Oops, I didn't mean.
Yes.
Where were we? I don't remember.
Oops.
Are you listening to
I
me?
was trying to make sure we were back on.
We're
We
on.
do apologize.
Yeah, sorry about that. All right. We were talking about prioritizing needs. That's what
Yes.
we were talking about. That was the last thing we said. Prioritizing needs. So what does that mean? Prioritizing needs. That means even I would even go as far as to say rather than compromise, it's the priority, meaning um, this is what we need, and we need to do this one first and then the other one.
Right.
For example, last year we bought the two cars. They were
Hmm.
used, but we bought two new cars. The Lord blessed us. And so we got yours first and then waited a little while, built our money back up, and then picked up mine. We
Prioritize.
prioritize
Hmm.
the need. When you prioritize the needs, then it's less of a challenge to even accept what you do first
Right.
because I know that okay, right now in this season, we're looking at what needs to happen for you, and then in the next season, we'll look at what needs to happen for me.
Right.
And in that way, both of us are being satisfied, gratified, and at the same time, we're able to see how building you up can then pull me up
Right.
and then building me up can then pull you up and we're building up the marriage together. um, Leon Seltzer said unless we become skilled in the fine art of compromise, our relationship can quickly degrade into feelings of dissatisfaction and discord, not to mention a disillusioning sense of being all alone in the relationship. Unless we become skilled in the fine art of compromise, if we're not actively, regularly, and intentionally practicing the compromise, practicing the prioritization of the needs of the marriage,
Hmm.
then we're going to feel that regret, that remorse. You'll get people who feel like they've been married to a stranger for 15 years because you don't know me. You don't
Hmm.
focus. You have one spouse. Oh, he's chasing his dream of becoming a doctor. Okay, now he's out of medical school and now he's chasing his residency. And now he's chasing his practice. And I've spent all of these years, countless movies have been written about it and portray the whole concept of one spouse getting their needs met while the other spouse takes a back seat.
Well, maybe that's why. I don't say maybe that's why, but why there's many unhappy married um couples because
Absolutely.
the misunderstanding of compromise. Because
Absolutely.
one may think that the compromise means I get while you give, and
Right.
then that's why so many marriages end after
Absolutely.
40, 50, like,
Yeah.
okay, kids out the house.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't fulfilled in the marriage because we did not understand
Hmm.
the definition of compromise
Yeah.
or the definition of something else in the marriage. And we don't, it all falls back to
Yeah.
communicating.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're not communicating, yes, you're going to misread or misunderstand
Right.
or not know your spouse because you're not communicating,
Right.
or maybe you're the one only communicating and the other spouse isn't. So communication is important.
Communication is vital.
It is vital.
Vital. And then too, as we're prioritizing our needs, if we don't know what we need,
Right.
then we don't know what to prioritize.
Right.
And I can decide I want, and you can know what you want, but if you don't communicate to me what you want,
Right.
then it's no longer a compromise or prioritizing. It's just me getting what I want.
Right.
And one person getting what they want isn't healthy in a successful marriage.
Oh,
What?
that's what I was about to say. That's what we talked about earlier. We were talking about if is compromise a question for um or a topic for sex
Hmm.
in a marriage, because in a marriage you have sex. Is that
Hopefully.
a compromise? Is that a compromise in marriage? Like, is one person receiving more than the other person, and is the other one not wanting to give because of the misunderstanding of compromise in that area?
It's a good question. And I think that one requires a lot of unpacking,
Yes.
because there are certain areas of the marriage where compromise should not be necessary.
Hmm.
And in my personal opinion, my humble opinion, that's one of them.
Hmm.
Um, if I love my spouse and I care about my spouse, then I should want to do whatever it is that I can do within reason to make sure that my spouse's needs are met to the best of my ability.
Yeah.
I had a good friend of mine when he and his wife got married. She promised him that he would never go to bed in that painful position, not having had sex for a while. There's something that happens to the brothers if we don't get some after a while. And she assured him, she gave him her word that he would never have to deal with that. And so, and all these years later, I didn't follow up.
I
So
was gonna say, would you
I
ask
don't
them about
I don't know. I just
it?
know that that's the commitment that she made to him. Um, some couples, one spouse may want it more, want sex more than the other spouse. I don't want to use the word need, because at the end of the day, if you are teetering into, or if you're tiptoeing into, if you're swimming in the air in the concept of needing sex, we all need it. The question is, how much do you need it? And if you're the type of person who thinks they need it all the time, then it's not the sex that you need. There's something else in there that you're trying
Hmm.
to fulfill. But in a marriage, there's a responsibility one to another that we have to ensure that we're not
Meeting,
lacking, and that we're
yes, that we're
meeting.
meeting each other's needs.
Exactly,
Yes,
exactly,
not just one person's needs.
exactly. There, the way that that happens will be and should be different as it goes from one married couple to the other.
Hmm.
What works for you and I may not work for your twin sister, for example, right? Like,
We don't want.
huh?
I mean, we don't want to
Well,
talk
but
about
I'm
other
just
people.
no, 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 we're
I
not.
know what you're saying,
But I'm just
because with
saying,
twins, it's not going to
right?
be
Your
the same.
twins, your
Yeah.
sisters, and you grew up in the same thing, but you're two different people. Is
Yes,
the point I'm
that's
trying
what
to
I
make?
know.
And so, as a result of that, um, our our sex life is going to be different than someone else's. Our approach
Yeah.
to that is going to be different than someone. So it's not for us to get into the weeds of that, and telling you what you should do
Right.
to
Right.
satisfy your spouse and all of that.
But it should be a conversation in
Between
your
you
marriage,
and your
between you and your spouse.
say that one more time, because I think
It
they missed
should
it.
be a conversation between you and your spouse.
For the people in the back row who
There,
didn't
it
hear it,
should be a conversation
for
for
you
you
and
and
your
your
spouse
spouse
only.
only.
Please, you know what? That's what we're gonna talk about. Boundaries and what you share. Because y'all be sharing too much stuff on. I mean, I thank God for social media, because that helps us know what we need to talk about. But y'all be sharing way too much stuff with other people, and it's not healthy.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get back
Okay.
to it.
Compromise.
Okay.
What does compromise mean? Compromise mean? We said that.
Yeah.
I had a few bullets that I wanted to share. Um, accommodation.
Oh, but wait, let's finish the sex thing.
Oh, go, go, go.
Here's the thing about sex. Compromise as it pertains to sex can look like a lot of different things. At the end of the day, you want to ensure, as much as is within your power, that your spouse is satisfied with the quality and comfortable with the quantity. And I'm gonna leave it right there.
That makes sense.
What does your spouse enjoy? And what can you do to make sure that they have no need to look elsewhere?
Mm-hmm.
It's like we said, if they come to you on Monday and they're hungry, you don't feed them, they're gonna come back Tuesday hungrier.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't feed them on Tuesday, they're gonna come back Wednesday and Thursday. And every day you don't feed them, they're gonna return the next day hungrier than the day before. And the more days that go in between eating, the more struggle it's gonna be. It's the day they stop asking you to feed them.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you've got to be concerned, because people are either going to die of starvation or they're going to get it from somewhere else. And that's where it gets dangerous. So, as it pertains to sex, try not to ask anything unreasonable. And at the same time, be a little bit more open minded to what you could do
Mm-hmm.
for your spouse. Because again, prioritizing the needs.
Prioritizing.
And we want to make sure, even in that area, that's what we're doing. Okay, now you've got some stuff.
Compromise means accommodating.
Yes,
Um,
that's good.
goals. Having goals when you compromise.
Mhm.
Goals like and I don't want to give an example, but goals like, so we're meeting here
Mhm.
and the end goal will be, this is how both of us feel, this is what both of us agreed to,
Mhm.
and we're coming to an agreement at that we're going to meet the end of that goal.
Mhm.
So each of us will receive the, now I don't want to say equal, but give, I give, you take. Both of us are being fulfilled.
Right.
I should say that, being
Right.
fulfilled.
Contributing.
Contributing.
Yeah.
Are contributing
Yeah.
and being fulfilled at the
Yeah.
same time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Connection.
Mhm.
Compromise is connection.
It is.
To connect, you have to listen and touch.
Mhm.
So when you're connected, you're listening and you're touching, not sexually, but
Oh,
you're
my bad.
like mentally, you're trying to understand.
Mhm.
You're
Mhm.
connecting with one another when
Mhm.
you're compromising, because
Yeah.
both of you are listening,
Right.
both of you are receiving something. So it has to be a connection when you get to that end goal.
Mhm.
Um, you're growing together when you compromise.
Yeah.
Um, to feed each other with no expectations is growing together, to develop together, to learn together, to rely on each other and strengthen each other when you compromise in any situation. When you compromising, you're adapting,
Yeah.
you're adjusting,
Yeah.
or you're modifying. Caring. To compromise is to care about the other person when you're compromising. And also respect. Respect when compromising. Don't accept or be disrespectful and undermining attitudes or actions. This is from the website. That particular one was elitesingles.com. And compromising is a process,
Yes, it is.
and it takes practice,
Yes, it does.
because sometimes, just like we said in the beginning, some of us don't understand the word compromise.
Right.
So when you get it, like, you have to practice it.
Mhm.
It's a process. Marriage is a process. You're going to change constantly, and you're going to have to compromise as you grow together in your marriage.
Yeah.
More years.
The longer we live on this earth, we grow, we develop, we mature, we evolve.
Mm-hmm.
We're not the same person that we were 20 years ago,
Right.
15 years ago,
You be
10 years
compromising
ago.
for the rest of your marriage.
Hopefully you
Hopefully,
will.
yes.
Yeah. Because the reality is, as I change, my resources change, my
Mhm.
skills change, my abilities, my perceptions change. As you change, so goes the same.
Right.
And so I need to adjust, like you
Mhm.
said, to the new version of you,
Yes.
so that I can make sure that I'm doing my job as your spouse
Right.
to keep you happy, to keep you healthy, and to keep you whole. And so you're right. Compromise is a lifelong journey
Mhm.
within the marriage. as a part of the marriage, because that's how we keep the marriage happy, healthy, and whole.
Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Happy spouse, happy house.
That's it. That's why spouse comes first.
Yes.
Because if you don't put the spouse first, then there won't be a house. You're gonna be by
Did I
yourself.
say that back?
No, you say happy spouse,
Oh,
happy
happy spouse.
house.
I thought I said house. That's because it rhymed.
It all
Happy
goes
spouse,
together. It all goes
happy
together.
house.
And that's just a few of the tips. That was good. A couple of other tips for compromise, and then I want to get into this one authentic compromise situation real quick. A few tips for compromise in marriage: communicate your needs clearly, because if I don't know what you need, then I can't determine whether or not yours should be a priority over mine or not.
That's good.
Like you,
Communicate your needs.
yep, like you said, listen, and I'm going to add a little bit to that without interrupting. What?
I'm listening. Without interrupting.
The more information you have, the better informed the decision you can make. So you have to carefully weigh your options. Put yourself in your partner's shoes. Look at the situation from their point of view. What are they thinking? I want pizza, you want chicken, and yes, Pizza Hut does sell both, but maybe you don't like Pizza Hut's chicken. Maybe you like Domino's chicken better, or maybe there's a local place that has both where you can get that. So if I'm looking at
They're
it
not
from your point of
sponsors.
view,
Sorry, you got to do
you
that
got to say
now.
that. You got to say that because they're not. Now. But if there's anyone out there who wants to sponsor us, we'd love to hear from you.
Yes.
All right. Consider what's fair. Make a decision. Stick with it. Don't be hemming and hawing, going back and forth. And then check in with one another. Okay, we decided to do what I wanted to do, but are you good? Are you okay? Are you having fun? Etc. Etc. Right before we get to Veda's verse, I want to talk about authentic compromise. Authentic compromise allows us to see our spouse not as we want them to be, but rather as they truly are. When we get our wants out of their way, when we put their needs and wants ahead of our own, by prioritizing our spouse, not only do we get to see them differently, they get to see themselves differently.
Okay.
When I prioritize you over me, you get to see yourself as someone who's valued.
Mm-hmm.
You get to see yourself as someone who's important. You get to see yourself as someone who has something to offer.
That's good.
When you realized your purpose, your passion for teaching children and the babies,
Mm-hmm.
the first thing was, okay, you need to go to school and you do the certificate program or you do your degree work, and you leaned into the degree work. Well, you didn't know what you were capable of. And if we had not prioritized you, if I
Mm-hmm.
had said, well, I don't want to give up my quality time with you because
Mm-hmm.
I
Because
knew how much time it was
I
going
was
to
going to
take and
be
I knew what all was going to be involved in you going to school and working full time. If I had become selfish,
right.
you would never have been able to fulfill your calling and your mission and vision. You would not see yourself
Mm-hmm.
as someone who's capable. You would not see yourself as a leader. You wouldn't be able to see yourself as someone who can affect and impact these babies' lives on a whole other level.
Mm-hmm.
And then, too, you wouldn't have been able to see yourself as someone who can make a difference in the life of a child.
So compromise not only does not just help one spouse in the marriage, it helps the marriage
And then beyond.
and beyond.
Authentic
Authentic compromise.
compromise creates a ripple effect because I'm setting my needs and wants aside. I'm getting what I need out of your way
Mm-hmm.
so that you can focus on what you need to do, i.e., when I was going to school full time and I was working full time, you took care of the house, you took care of the kids, you took care of what needed to happen.
Mm-hmm.
When you're going to school full time, when you're working full time, I took care of the kids, I took care of the house, I took care of what needs to be
Right.
happen. And because you needed to see that you could go to work full time and go to school full time and get it done.
Right.
And I had to set myself back. And in doing so, you looked at me and you was like, hey, I haven't seen you in a while. Hey, I haven't had time for you in a while. And where you could, you made that time. And you still do. I mean,
Yeah.
you're not over with school yet. But the point is, because of authentic compromise, we prioritized, you needed, and even there were some times when I had to kind of push you, go back to doing your
Mhm.
studies. Don't worry about me. I'm good.
But it's empowerment, I think. You make
Absolutely.
the other spouse empowered, like feel like
Absolutely.
they are valued outside of the home or outside of the marriage. Because it can't, like for women, it can become stressful to become a wife, a
Sure.
mom,
Sure.
not the breadwinner in some marriages, and not feel like themselves. And when you were saying like how you stepped up, and when I went to work and you stepped up and did the house chores, but it does feel empowering when we can still fulfill our dreams,
Mm-hmm.
still be a mom, still be a wife,
Yeah.
and the house is happy
Mm-hmm.
because now it's me, it's my turn
Right.
to be out there and not fulfill yourself, but
Yeah.
be empowered and feel like I am bringing something to this marriage, and
Yeah.
not just feel like I'm just a mom
Yeah.
or I'm just a wife.
Yeah.
Like it's important
Yeah.
to feel more than just a mom and just a wife
Yeah.
in the marriage.
When you're multifaceted in yourself, then that means that the dynamics of the marriage become multifaceted as
Mhm.
well. Because now you're not just talking to me about the groceries, or talking to me about the
Mhm.
cleaning products, or talking to me about the color swab that you wanted to choose for the carpet or the wall. You're talking to me about what happened at work. You're
Right.
talking to me about what you saw on your commute. You're talking to me about other things that are going on, conversations you had, etc., that are not just one aspect of
Right.
what you're doing.
Right.
And when there's authentic compromise, then there's a lot of empowerment going on. There's a lot of encouragement going on. And there's a lot more to be said about you being able to see, wow, I did that. I was
Right.
able to achieve that. I was able to accomplish that.
Right.
All right, let's jump into Vetta's verse.
Let us first the curse of familiarity. I have to get that word right. In marriage, the task of communication faces a particular hard to conquer course, familiarity. We may perform for the world, but at home, familiarity erodes our energy, saps our strength, and cuts off our compassion, all essential ingredients to good listening. When the phone rings, I am aware of the tone of voice that I use as I answer it, because I don't know who's on the other end. But as soon as I recognize the voice of my mom, my husband, or my best friend, my tone relaxes to its usual pitch. Our homes offer a shelter from the storms of life. But when we grow, but when we grow within our safe place, the familiarity that was meant to help can end up hurting. When I slip my mind into neutral because it's just my husband talking, I need to be reminded of what good listening is all about. If we want to survive this era in which families are ripped apart almost as fast as they are made, we'll need to fight against the temptation to tune out at home. We need to open our ears, listen to voices inside the walls of our homes. While good communication alone can't cure a bad marriage, it can make a big difference. If we're to love well those we love most, we'll learn to listen. By learning to really hear what our spouses are saying, we can break the curse of familiarity. What benefits and pitfalls come with the familiarity that comes with being married? And how can you improve your communication radar when it comes to listening to your spouse?
That's good. That's good. If I don't listen, then I don't know.
Right.
Got to listen. Got to listen. Try to avoid falling into the pitfall of here we go again,
Mhm.
because it sounds like it's about to be that conversation. We get in trouble. We get in trouble because we don't want to listen, because here we go again. Well, guess what?
Yes, sometimes we do tune out
Yeah,
sometimes.
yeah. If we're not careful, we'll get distracted because of something else, because it sounds like it's about to be that
Mhm.
again. Then we'll do stuff else. We'll grab the phone and I'm all in my Facebook because you're talking about the same thing you've always
Mhm.
talked about, and you're nagging about the same thing you've always nagged about, or you're asking about the same. When you become mundane in your communication, then you'll get to that place where it's like I don't even hear you
Mhm.
because I keep hearing the same thing over and over again.
Right.
And we got to be careful with that. That's good. That's good. That's really good. All right. I think we are done for the night. Again, we apologize for the technical difficulties that we ran into.
Right.
And we certainly did not mean to do that. So please forgive us. We'll work on that.
No,
We're just getting
we
something
didn't mean to
together.
do that.
We're getting some things
It
together.
wasn't on purpose.
Um, but excuse me. We're gonna get there. Let's see. Next week, we are still trying to finalize our topic. We're gonna be a little honest, a little forthcoming, and we're still trying to finalize our topic for next week. The next few weeks are gonna be a little bumpy because we're getting ready for our anniversary trip. Woo hoo!
Yay.
We finna
We're
go out.
excited.
Anyway,
20 years.
that's right. So we're excited about that. But we got a lot of things that we're going to be doing. But one of the things that we definitely want to talk about is attention. We did the show about the love languages,
Mhm.
and one of those love languages was quality time.
Right.
Um, we want to talk about that, and we're trying to put it together. So be on the lookout in the next couple of days. Today's Thursday. By Sunday, or maybe Monday morning, you'll see the flyer go up with the title for next week's show. So we're gonna give you a little cliffhanger, but I assure you, you're gonna want to be here next week, because we're gonna have a good one for you. That's really gonna help you. At the end of the day, we want you to follow us on Facebook,
We
Twitter,
appreciate you guys
Instagram, and
tuning in.
YouTube, because we want to help your marriage be as great as possible. So make sure you're following us, and make sure you're subscribed to all of those social media platforms, so that you
Right
can
there.
keep up with everything that's going on here on the couch, in the world of the Happy Spouse, Happy House Marriage Enrichment Seminar, and everything else that we are going to be sharing. That is
It's
just
10
such
o'clock.
a lot to say. All right. Well, she's Veta.
And he's Mac.
This has been
Couch
Couch Conversations. We'll
Conversations.
see you next
Thank
week.
you. Good
God bless
night.
you. Peace. Later.